This is the news on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
Good afternoon. It's February 18, 2026. INEC's continuous voters registration is on. Use the opportunity to register to vote. On the news this afternoon, House of Representatives cave in, back Senate on Electoral Act amendment. JAMB applicant in Port Harcourt raised concerns over glitches in registration. Lent Ramadan begin today. On the foreign scene, Ukraine-Russia peace talks resume in Geneva with pressure on Kiev. I'm Ifechukwu Muonyili with the news. The Senate has passed the Electoral Act 2022 Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2026. But not without drama. Proceedings became tense when Senator Eyinaya Abaribe demanded a vote on Clause 60, particularly subsection 3, which addresses what happens if electronic transmission of election result fails. He argued that the provision allowing manual collation as a backup should be removed. Senate President Godswill Akpabio initially said he believed the request had been withdrawn, but opposition senators disagreed. After some back and forth, Akpabio allows the vote. When senators are asked to stand, 55 voted in favor of retaining manual collation as a backup, while 15 opposed it. At the House of Representatives, similar tensions unfolded. A motion to rescind the earlier passage of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill sparked a rowdy session. The chairman of the House Committee on Rules and Business, Francis Waive, moved the motion in alignment with the Senate's position on electronic transmission. When Speaker Tajuddin Abbas put the motion to a voice vote, the nays appeared louder than the ayes, but he ruled in favor of the ayes. That ruling triggers protest, with lawmakers shouting in objection, forcing the Speaker to call for an executive session. I recall that when the House passed the bill in December 2025, it adopted compulsory real-time transmission of election results to the IREF portal. Well, back here in Rivers State, residents of Kana State Constituency 2 and Ahoda East Constituency 2 are being urged to remain peaceful ahead of Saturday's by-elections. The Rivers State's director of the National Orientation Agency, Edward Banigo, told correspondent Demekotoka that voters, political actors, and their supporters must shun violence, respect the rule of law, and promote unity throughout the electoral process. He wants residents to cooperate with security agencies and electoral officials to ensure a free, fair, and credible poll. Now, he also warns that any act capable of causing unrest will not serve the interests of the communities.
Anyway, we've been talking to voters in Ahoda and kind of, I think, concerning the coming election on the need for them to come out and vote persons of their choice, as well as to do that peacefully, because it's important that we vote and vote peacefully. We no longer want the situation where election in River State will be passed the river from blood. No, this time around we want peace, and that is why we are leveraging on the various programs we have to mainstream on the need for voters to vote peacefully and go home safely.
Meanwhile, the leadership of civil liberty organizations in River State says calls for accountability will not create political tension. The state chairman, Sonny Dada, in a chat with our correspondent, insists that demands to probe the River State government from 2015 to 2026 should not be seen as an attempt to destabilize the current political peace. It says that the state's financial records should be open to public scrutiny in the interest of transparency and good governance.
We want peace in River State, but that does not mean that peace should come at the kind of expense that we are looking at, sacrificing accountability in the development and well-being of River State. Asking for accountability has nothing to do with the peace. As a matter of fact, if there is no accountability, there can be conflict too, because the lack of accountability leads to unequal distribution of wealth, leads to denial of development.
Dada adds that the failure of past and present administrations to properly account for public funds has fueled distrust and weakened public confidence in leadership.
So the lack of accountability in itself is a conflict driver. So when we say the governor should be accountable, or the lawmaker should be accountable, or the FCT minister should be pro, we are not necessarily trying to heat up the politics. We should not begin to sweep everything under the carpet in the name of peace. Are we saying that one or two individuals mismanage the resources of River State? This has been our calling from the beginning, and we didn't start today.
Well, away from that, River State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has hailed the contributions of Honorable Justice Obiesobara Daniel Kalio to jurisprudence and legal profession. He did this during a valedictory court session and book launch held at the Court of Appeal Complex in Port Harcourt. Represented by his deputy, Professor Ngozi Maodo, the governor says the retiring jurist served with integrity, diligence, and courage, and announced a donation of 50 million naira in support of the book launch.
Honor and admiration that I extend my warmest goodwill message on the occasion of the valedictory court session and book launch held in celebration of Honorable Justice Obiesobara Daniel Kalio. This remarkable event is a fitting tribute to a distinguished jurist whose years on the bench have been marked by integrity, diligence, and unwavering commitment to the cause of justice.
Meanwhile, former Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says he has known Justice Daniel Kalio since childhood and describes him as a deliberate and serious-minded individual who chose a sober path that led him to the Court of Appeal. Chairman of the occasion, Justice Mary Odili, says the valedictorian excelled from his early days at the River State Ministry of Justice and consistently demonstrated mastery before the bench and among his peers.
My Lord Daniel Kalio clearly was a product that sold itself. Hence, no surprise when he was appointed to the River State High Court bench. As we go on in today's program, it will be seen that the jubilarian kept the flag flying. Hence, his celebration cannot be narrowed as a judicial or legal community celebration, but a teaching to all and sundry into the historical line of Honorable Justice Daniel Kalio's family tree, from which our jurists of today emerge.
In his remarks, Justice Daniel Kalio says the judiciary remains the fabric that holds the nation together and warns that once it is destroyed, the rule of law is gone. Still on legal matters, constitutional lawyer Professor Richard Nwokocha says a person cannot be held liable for cybercrime merely for accessing or possessing information obtained through wiretapping. Speaking to correspondent Emeka Otoka, Nwokocha explains that guilt can only be established if it is proven that the individual directly engaged in the unlawful act. He was reacting to the prosecution of former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai over comments that he intercepted the phone communications of National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu during a live television program. According to Wokocha, the federal government must prove that El-Rufai took technical steps to access the information before any conviction can stand.
Unless he says, I tapped the wire and I discovered this or I found it. If he says he accessed information that was obtained through wire tapping, that doesn't make him a criminal for accessing information. It doesn't make him one that broken the law. The state will have to establish that he, by himself, tapped or engaged in the act that the state is saying is unlawful. It's not enough that it was private. Just like you and I have had what he said was transacted and questioning the legality of that. We do not become guilty for having received the information.
You may recall that the DSS filed a 3-count charge at the Federal High Court in Abuja against El-Rufai over the move will serve our press opposition voices.
In Nigeria, the state uses its own weapon to fight against passive enemy, so rightly or wrongly. That's not to say that El-Rufai is right, but I think also El-Rufai is also looking. He understands the game. He himself, once being a state actor, he understands that the best way to get attention from the people is also to draw out the states, and so the state responded appropriately. They are doing their thing.
And now, a Department of State Services witness has told the Federal High Court in Abuja that the suspects standing trial over the June 5th, 2022 killings at the St. Francis Xavier Catholic Church in Owo, Ondo State, were funded, armed, and mobilized before carrying out the attack. Testifying before the presiding judge, Emeka Wite, the witness, identified only as SSI, for security reasons, said he led the DSS counter-terrorism investigation into the incident. The DSS is prosecuting 5 suspects: Idris Abdul Malik Omeza, Al Kazim Idris, Jamiu Abdul Malik, Abdul Halim Idris, and Momo Otuho Abubakar on a 9-count charge. Still to come, JAMB applicants in Port Harcourt raise concerns over glitches in registration. Stay with us. You're welcome back. Now, President Bola Tinubu has appointed the governor of Kaduna State, Uba Sani, as renewed Hope Ambassador and Deputy Director General of APC Outreach, Engagement and Mobilization. In a statement on Tuesday, Special Advisor to the President on Media and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, says Sani's appointment is with immediate effect. Onanuga said Tinubu appointed Sani to the role due to his salient leadership and organizational ability. And now the Federal Capital Territory Police Command has deployed personnel across the territory ahead of the area council elections. This is as the command announced a restriction of movement across the FCT from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. on election day, with exemptions for essential service providers and election officials. The area council elections will be held on Saturday. The Independent National Electoral Commission has cleared candidates from 17 political parties to contest the forthcoming local government elections in the Federal Capital Territory. Well, away from that, as many applicants struggle to purchase forms for the 2026 Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board examination, the board has been advised to decentralize their system and upgrade their website. In a chat with correspondent Namdewala, some JAMB applicants raised concerns over delays in the registration process arising from what they described as technical glitches. Have a listen.
Knowing fully well that over the year, I feel it's on the part of JAM having not to solidify their portal. Knowing fully well that over the years, you have a huge number of candidates who intend to register for JAM. So it's for JAM to actually strengthen their portal.
Usually the servers are okay, but the challenges come during time of registration because the system is centralized. So because the system is centralized, there's an overload of work. They can decentralize the system and then let JAM just manage the final approval.
The way to improve this JAM network now, at least they will allow some cybercaf operators at least to help register some people so that everything will be going smoothly.
There was excitement and jubilation in Ikwerengwa community in Igbo, a Che local government area, following the ongoing grading of their road. Residents of the road in an interview described the intervention by the Eche Council Chairman Chima Boniface Njoko as a major relief that will ease transportation challenges and boost economic activities in the area. They say the grading of the Promised Land Estate Feeder Road is strategic because it links and connects to Oil Mill Market, Umuebulu, the Port Harcourt Ring Road, and the Aba Port Harcourt Road. They believe the development will enhance access, improve trade, and strengthen connectivity between surrounding communities.
Before this time, this road has been impassable because of how deplorable the road has been. We've been making use of other bad alternative routes.
It has not been easy for us. The economic hardship, the physical hardship. But now you can see the road is passable. All thanks to the local government chairman.
If this road being fixed, it will bring more development over here. Shop will be rent, tenant will be trooping in, and people that is keeping something to sell will be selling. We are appreciating the chairman, Honorable Chairman Boniface Njoko, for his good gesture towards Ikwerengwa land.
The people are very happy what my chairman is doing. Please, I want to assure everybody that the working chairman is ever ready to deliver the evidence of democracy to the grassroots.
And now, a Department of State Services witness has told the Federal High Court in Abuja that the suspects standing trial over the June 5th, 2022 killings at St. Francis Xavier Catholic Church in Ondo State were funded, armed and mobilized before carrying out the attack. Testifying before the presiding judge, Emeka Wite, the witness, identified as SSI for security reasons, said he led the DSS counter-terrorism investigation into the incident. The DSS is prosecuting 5 suspects: Idris Abdul Malik Omeza, Al Kazim Idris, Jamiu Abdul Malik, Abdul Halim Idris, and Momo Otuho Abubakar on a 9-count charge. Well, Christians worldwide are beginning the Lenten season today, Ash Wednesday. Lent is 40 days of fasting, prayer, and reflection observed to remember Jesus Christ's 40 days in the wilderness and to prepare believers spiritually for Holy Week and Easter Sunday, which falls on April 5th. During this time, many Christians focus on repentance, self-discipline, and act of charity as they anticipate the celebration of Christ's resurrection. Today, Roman Catholics will attend church and have ashes placed on their foreheads to show repentance and remind them of human mortality. Also, the Sultan of Sokoto and President General of the Nigeria Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, Alhaji Saad Abubakar, has declared today, Wednesday, February 18, as the first day of Ramadan 1447 in Nigeria. The announcement follows reports from moon sighting committees across the country confirming the sighting of the new crescent. The Sultan warns Muslims to devote themselves to worship, pray for the nation's peace and progress, and support the needy during the holy month. Ramadan, the ninth month of the Islamic calendar, is observed by Muslims worldwide as a period of fasting, prayer, reflection, and charity, and lasts for 29 or 30 days. In business now, the chairman of the Dangote Group, Aliko Dangote, has predicted the strengthening of the naira, saying the currency will hit 1,000 naira to $1 this year. Dangote said this on Tuesday while speaking at the launch of the Nigeria Industrial Policy in Abuja. While the naira goes for around 1,300 naira to a dollar, Dangote says the reforms by the government mean better days are ahead. He said the country has the potential to generate large-scale consumption, industrial growth, and disposable incomes. Dangote called for the protection of local investors through the provision of incentives and infrastructure, such as power, which he said remains a challenge to doing business in Nigeria. In entertainment, a Chinese female streamer lost over 140,000 followers at once after the filter she was using glitched and exposed her real face. A video shows the influencer addressing followers on a live stream. For a short while, the filter went off, showing her real face, before it came back on to show the extremely filtered, doll-like appearance her fans always believed was her real face. Followers began unfollowing her instantly. And now in sports, Real Madrid winger Vinicius Jr. said racists are cowards as Benfica midfielder Gianluca Prestiani denied racially abusing the Brazilian. The 25-year-old reported alleged racist abuse by Prestiani to referee Francois Letizia during Real Madrid's 1-0 win against Benfica in Lisbon on Tuesday. The Champions League match was halted for 10 minutes with both sets of players leaving the pitch shortly after Vinicius had given his side the lead.
And now we bring you news from around the world.
Peace talks between Ukraine and Russia in Geneva ended abruptly today, Wednesday, after only 2 hours. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said the discussions had been difficult and accused Russia of deliberately seeking to delay progress toward a deal to end the 4-year-old war. Russian chief negotiator Vladimir Medinsky told reporters in the lobby of the hotel where talks took place in Geneva that further negotiations would be held soon, without specifying a date. The U.S.-mediated peace talks in Switzerland have been taking place as the U.S. President Donald Trump has twice in recent days suggested it was up to Ukraine and Zelensky to take steps to ensure the talks were successful.
This is the news on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
On the news this afternoon, you heard the Senate has passed the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. You also heard that JAM applicants in Port Harcourt have raised concerns over glitches in registration. We also told you that Lent and Ramadan began today. On the foreign scene, peace talks between Ukraine and Russia in Geneva ended abruptly today, Wednesday, after only 2 hours. The news was edited by Martha Okere. To reach the news team, send an SMS or WhatsApp to 0808 721 7215. I am Ifechukwu Muonyili. Many thanks for listening.